Hello, and welcome to Templar On The Run, the podcast pulling back the veil of Freemasonry and shining its light wherever we can. This is Brother Bryce Baker with
Brother Wayne Ross, and we are both from Meridian 47 in Meridian, Idaho. Thank you for your interest in the world's oldest fraternity.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Templar On The Run podcast. This is again Brother Bryce here with
Brother Wayne Ross here from Meridian, Idaho, representing Meridian Lodge of 47. Our 21st episode we were just talking about.
Yeah.
It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, busy.
But we have been extremely busy, and our guest today will be able to testify to that because he's been able to see all the stuff that we've been doing just at the lodge the last couple of weeks. So, anything about that last little bit, Brother Bryce, anything in particular before we get jumping here from our last episode over to here?
Last episode, we kind of just kicked back and watched some scenes from different media. That was pretty fun, just kind of seeing what is out there Masonically, you know?
Yeah.
And then since then, we've just been busy with our own lives and all our own Masonic stuff that, if you have our Instagram, hopefully you saw our Grand Lodge 3rd degree / stated meeting.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
That was big.
It was big, and an award from Instagram for your recording there, which was awesome because 100 views or whatever it was, something in that realm. So,
Yeah.
So that was good. Yeah, it's been very busy, but it's good to get back into the booth here.
Oh, of course, the Hiram Award.
Well, yeah,
and the winner.
Well, and he was there for that too. So we'll sort of get to roll all this good information in. So, without further ado, we have a visiting brother here. So if you could introduce yourselves.
Of course. So my name's Harley Merck, visiting from Klamath Lodge 77 over in Southern Oregon. Been here for the last couple months visiting with you guys.
And why are you here? Give a plug.
Sure. Here for the Lineman College down in Meridian, Northwest Lineman College.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a blast. I've really enjoyed myself there.
Yeah. Were you guys up on the poles today? Because it was super windy. Really?
Yeah, we were.
Perfect day to practice, I guess.
Oh, it was great. Yeah. Thankfully for me, my side of the school is going into the field during the mornings, and so we didn't get hit with all that rain and hail that we got just afternoon.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So where do you live in Oregon?
I live down in Klamath Falls.
Okay.
Right near the California border. If you know where Mount Shasta is, we're straight north of there.
Okay.
Cool.
And your lodge number there again?
Is 77, Klamath Lodge.
And if they have website, Facebook, and all that, give the shameless plug at the end because we do that with everything anyway.
Very good.
So
Before we kind of get into the episode, maybe I've got a few questions for Harley.
Yeah.
So
we'll roll it all together,
Yeah. So you're out here doing Lineman College.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a couple questions. So first one,
shoot.
I want you to elaborate on a little bit because at one of our recent events, I think it was the Grand Lodge. Yeah, you were wearing a kilt, right?
I was, yeah.
So you're wearing a kilt. Then you told me that you did the Highland Games pretty recently, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
so,
over in Nampa.
A couple questions on that. The kilt. Are you Scottish Rite?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm part Scottish.
Cool. Wait, no, Scottish Rite.
Scottish Rite. Excuse me. Yeah, no.
I can tell you part Scottish. Look at you. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not yet Scottish Rite.
Okay.
Because you're relatively new, right?
I am. Yeah, recently raised in November.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, you want to tell us a little bit about the Highland Games? We'll take a few minutes on that.
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I've always enjoyed picking up heavy things when given the opportunity, and the Highland Games is a great avenue for that. Get to meet a lot of really cool people, kind of like coming to Freemason Lodge. Just everybody has a positive attitude and they want to see the best out of everybody. Get to throw logs and rocks, and when a lot of the games you register as an athlete, they'll get you a free beer, so that's nice too.
There you go. Cool.
It helps get you warmed up, right?
Right?
Yeah.
And then I see, since we're on the Scotland topic here, if you want to show the camera a little bit, your emblems there. Maybe give us a little.
Yeah, so got a Mjolnir necklace and bracelet my wife gave me a few years back.
Okay.
The necklace she got me as a replacement to one that I lost.
Yeah.
We were at the beach one day, and the one that I had, I got off of Facebook. It was one of those just pay shipping ones, and that one was kind of cheap. But she got me this really nice one here, and then a little while later she got me this here bracelet.
Yeah. So you got some Norse, some Scottish.
Yeah.
Some fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
My family's been in the States so long, I'm a little bit of everything at this point.
Yeah, I hear you.
So you came down here. I'm trying to remember back. I think our stated meeting last month, right? You were at the first one for that.
Yeah.
Where we talked ad nauseum at the end about the resolutions that we're going to have to vote on for Grand Lodge, which I want to get to in a bit as well. And then you were at the Hiram Award dinner banquet. Then you were at the most recent one here again when we did the third degree with the Grand Lodge. All in the span of basically about 28 days. So is your lodge that active as well, or?
Sometimes it depends on what's going on. I also met up with you guys a couple times apart from that. Once we were pulling the carpets.
Yes.
And then another time we were, or was it the same time? I think it was a separate time we were practicing for the third degree.
Yeah.
So when I left Klamath, we were meeting up pretty regularly. Of course, the monthly stated meeting. And then I was meeting with brothers fairly often prior to that because I was going through the degrees. Let's see, what are the months? So I think I initially petitioned in August. Went through the entered apprentice in September. Went through the fellowcraft in October, and then got raised in November. Myself and another brother, Darian Abrahamson, we were almost racing each other to see who could memorize the proficiencies first.
Right.
That guy, you have to slow him down in order to understand everything he's saying.
Yeah.
Isn't that so funny? Yeah. I feel like when you first learn the work too, or when you're kind of newer, like you're so excited, just get it out there.
It's just rapid fire.
Yeah. But then as time goes on, you kind of
make it sound a little more natural, at a good pace.
Yeah.
And that's when it's really good. That's when you got like the Harry Black type work
right.
Or that awesome, I love that tit for tat third degree lecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting too because you're so recent relatively on your third degree when we start talking a little bit later here about this third and what you saw as far as any kind of differences or because there were many a brother Mason ready to point out all the differences as we heard.
Yeah.
Quite an earful from a couple of others, but
that dragged the introductions out a little bit. But
just
a little bit.
I think we got through them in an hour. So
Yeah. It was pretty close, and
there were probably 60 brothers that had to be introduced, right?
Yeah, because we counted, I think, about 15 left after the degree, and it looked like the picture that I've added to our slideshow, and it's also on our socials as well, sort of that, and then your videos covered, as guys were filing in when it was 94 degrees here as well.
Yeah.
Not very comfortable.
No.
Yeah, that was warm.
Idaho likes to do that with her weather. So
the kilt made for some nice ventilation, though.
I'm sure. Yeah, the rest of us were getting sort of steamy. So.
Yeah. Well, it was hard to be on the level when we were sitting down there, not gonna lie.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought in prep for this, because everything sort of revolves back around that, if we talk about the different kind of things, I was looking at our monitor, and it hits basically how this came about in Idaho. So I was going to read through it real quick here, so then we could sort of talk about it and get that idea from you. So skip the first part there. In August of 1862, gold was discovered in the Boise Basin. The rush to the Boise Basin began with the towns of Centerville and Pioneerville, founded by November, Buena Vista, and Bannock City in December of the same year. Bannock City was changed to Idaho City in 1864. Idaho City became the center of population of the new Idaho Territory, which position of prominence it held for many years. Among these adventurers were many Masons, and there were no doubt many unrecorded complications in the high hills and in the low valleys of the basin. There were miners from California, Oregon, Washington, and Missouri who were Masons, with scattered members from almost every jurisdiction in the world. From wherever they held, their meetings prior to March 3rd, 1863 would have been in the governmental and Masonic jurisdiction of Washington Territory. On that March day, President Lincoln entered the governmental jurisdiction of Washington Territory. On that day, the Boise Basin entered both governmentally and Masonically a sort of no man's land, where should the Masonic groups of this divorced domain apply for dispensation. Virginia City, then in Idaho, but now in Montana, went to Nebraska and later to Kansas. Other Montana groups were approved by Colorado, Pioneerville, by Washington Territory. First of all there was Lodge at Bannock City, which followed by Boise City, Placerville, and Hawaii Lodge with Silver City applied to Oregon. Before I continue on, it always trips me out when you read this much paperwork got done by mail, by horse, by
over mountains.
I'm like, wow, okay.
Over mountains, across deserts.
Yeah. In July of 1863, upon the recommendation of Wasco number 15, is it the Dalles or the Dale? D-A-L-L-E?
The Dalles.
Dalles, okay. Drive by it all the time. There's like 4 ways to pronounce it.
Oh, yeah.
Oregon
Throws everyone off.
Yeah, exactly. The Grand Master of Oregon granted a dispensation of Idaho Lodge UD located at Bannock City, Idaho Territory. The Grand Master of Washington immediately charged invasion of his jurisdiction. The controversy went on for years and spread all over the United States. The Grand Lodge of Oregon, however, in the face of the controversy, granted a charter on June 22nd, 1864 to Idaho Lodge number 35 at Idaho City. So if you look at that on that realm, and then Idaho Lodge number 35 of Oregon, Idaho City, dated dispensation July 7th, 1863, dated charter June 22nd, 1864. Boise Lodge 37 of Oregon, Boise. It just looks so weird the way that's written out. And a couple others, Placer, Pioneer, Oahe, all were put together 1860 up to 1867. The convention assembled at the Masonic Hall in Idaho City, and 4 days were occupied in completing the entire work of organizing and transacting the business of the Grand Lodge. On June 23rd, 1868, a charter was issued to Idaho Lodge number 1. The other lodges were chartered in order of their seniority: Boise number 2, Placer number 3, Pioneer 4, and Oahe number 5. So 1868 is when we officially became who we are, separate and independent from Oregon. So with that little bit of history there, sort of leads into that question, whether our stated or degree, since you've seen the third, what did you notice? What did you pick up on? Were there things that you were like, oh yeah, that's completely the same? Or was there something that was just like way different, or was minor little things? What were you recognizing?
So initially it was just minor little things. Just words like, I think you guys use lawfully, we use legally.
Mm-hmm.
But the first big difference I noticed.
Real quick, I think some brothers here swap that around
Oh,
too.
yeah?
So
It could have been one or the other.
yeah.
Fair enough. The first big difference that I noticed, though, was the way that fellow crafts and masters wear their aprons.
Okay.
Because that's reversed
Okay.
in Oregon, the way that you guys have it. And so the explanation that's given that you guys have is totally absent in the Oregon degrees.
Uh-huh.
In the Oregon degrees, they basically just say this is how they wear them, and so do we.
Yeah.
Where you guys have a little bit more of a explanation about it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that kind of brings up an interesting point, because like from what I've read, it kind of seems like it points like the fourth, like the Royal Arc degree was like originally part of the 3 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point,
I remember reading that.
yeah, it got like kind of chopped up, and that's why we have these kind of like different bits and pieces, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think, right? Because it gets changed around throughout time, and that is probably where that comes from, like the little minor differences.
Yeah.
That could be. I think it was Dave was speculating, even though Idaho was chartered by the Grand Lodge of Oregon, he thinks that maybe some California influence was in play. Talking
Screwing
about
everything.
during the gold rush, there were a lot of miners that had run dry down in California, and so they came up here.
Right.
And talking to my brother-in-law, who's a Mason down in Simi Valley.
No way.
Yeah.
California?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, I grew up there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He's actually a master of the lodge this year.
Oh, hi, Mom.
But talking to him about the differences, it sounds like your guys' work is more similar to the California work than it is to the Oregon.
Mm. Yeah, which again is why I read that there, because our roots come from Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
not from California. But that influx that time, like they made point of there, with all the mining and everything that was going on, was super huge and super important as that impact.
Sorry, this conversation brought me back to when we spoke with Brother Kevin Henderson, and just kind of the time that Freemasonry is in or whatever, and kind of how that gets part and parcel throughout, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And just like we say all the time, you could have learned it the right way, or maybe you could have learned it the wrong way, but that's the way you know it here on out. So
right. Yeah,
that's how it goes.
Especially back then, they didn't have these.
Right.
Everything was word of mouth. There was no internet, right?
Yeah.
So
because even though the words were different, you still got
Oh, yeah.
saw the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You were like, that guy had the same experience I did, right?
For sure.
So
but you guys do all the signs though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
so
was some of the stuff
that was one thing that a lot of the other visitors.
Yeah. Tennessee and Tennessee and a couple other states.
yeah,
That's
I
right.
saw that guy who talked about that too when we started doing it, and he wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And then he kind of looked around. He did one of these. He was like, "Oh," and then he lamented having to do the signs. I was like, "Dude, come on."
What is that?
Yeah.
We should have had some Prince Hall brothers in there, and then could have seen a whole bunch of different signs on top. So,
Oh, I believe that.
yeah, we've had that. So
I very much enjoy coming to your guys' regular stated meetings. The lodge that I come from, we have brothers that they come in from pretty far out of town. Some of them drive an hour or more just to come to lodge. And so we typically open and close in the short form. And so it's cool to see you guys going through the whole process of opening and closing lodge. It's not something I've been exposed to prior to coming here.
yeah,
That's cool.
Every lodge here does it that way. So, and it probably is more necessity for you guys. At one point, they were like, "Let's just do it this way," and then that probably cuts down on any kind of fellowship afterwards if they're living that far away too, right?
Yeah. Well, there used to be, I want to say, like 4 or 5 lodges within that whole area, and now we're down to 1. So it's just been consolidate.
Yeah.
I think even the lodge in Lakeview closed a while back.
While you're talking about that, let's jump into that stickiness. Well, at our last month's stated, not the most recent with a degree, but previously at that, we went through the resolutions, and for this year we have like 12 resolutions at Grand Lodge, and the majority of them the last 4 or 5 have to do with fears of losing lodges, right, and replacing things here and there. What have you been able to pick up? I know you're still new, but from the other guys and the guys who've been around a little longer, have you heard conversations? What's been the cause of? Has it been a steady drop off of lodges, or just like, all of a sudden? Or
I don't know. Reading up on Masonic history, something I've noticed is that there do seem to be ebbs and flows. Like you'll get a big influx of Masons, and then it'll teeter off, and then there's a big influx and it'll teeter off.
So we need another National Treasure movie,
right?
Yes,
there you go.
Exactly.
All right, Disney, get on it.
Right.
If you don't know what he's talking about, then watch our episode 20.
There we go.
There you go. But it's something that my lodge was even talking about at the last stated that I was at, and one of the brothers was even bringing up whether or not we should have a quota in place of how many Masons we want to bring in each month, each year. And I think that was pretty resoundingly shot down by some of the brothers on the sides and the the master of the year that himself, it was the general consensus that that's not the type of organization we want to be a part of.
Because that falls in line with your starting to kind of think about advertising, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, this isn't something that we're not like trying to proselytize Freemasonry.
Right.
It's something, I think it's important that individuals find it and seek it themselves.
Yeah, it's supposed to be of your own free will and accord, right? You know,
Right.
it's funny because like most Masons, even if you've had Masons in your family forever, it's like there's that one like moment where it's just kind of everything clicks, right? And like if you don't have that and you're just kind of told like, oh hey, come check this out, you know, it's a little bit different, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it is, but we have that restriction on purpose too, and a quota is a very dangerous thing as well, because then you're more focused on money to fill the purse and not the quality of the guys coming in.
Yeah.
Then you may get an influx of brothers and money, but they may not stick around, first of all, which we've seen here. We did like 15 EAs in 1 year and like 3 passed on.
Yeah.
Holy.
And you've been to our lodge. We're not a crazy strict, kind of a place, right? Just it's not for everybody. But if you're just trying to fill those seats and then fill up the bank account, you're going to deal with those issues on the back end. And especially if you get some guys in that weren't investigated well, then you're just dealing with all other kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Something that Dave does that I think has some value to it is showing prospective members the cipher itself. Some guys that's a bit intimidating too.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a fair amount to remember, but with a good coach, it's a lot of give and take when you're going through the proficiency. I didn't think that it was anything that was unconquerable, I mean, like I told you guys, I went through each degree within a month of each other, basically as quickly as legally allowed.
Well, and also too, when we look at that and we think about that, how that structures out, again, just sort of for us on this side of it, getting back to those resolutions that are going to come up in September, it's because of that fear. Do you remember, either one of you remember the numbers that past Grand Master gave us of how many Masons there were and how many there are, lodges, etc.?
Not offhand, but
well, is under 40 lodges. I know that.
yeah.
And CUNA is number 98 because of going in order.
Yeah.
So there's only under 40 active lodges. That's less than half of the numbers that were created originally. And the numbers are, individual brother numbers are like way super low. We know that as a fact. In Oregon though, when you did your 3rd degree, was it like ours the other night, as in everybody was doing the work from memory? Do they do anything different? Because I've heard like maybe Colorado or one of the others, they're reading out of books or they're looking at the video lectures or anything like that. Do you guys?
No, so they make a pretty strong point of doing it from memory. For some of the lectures, occasionally a brother will be able to have a reference to go off of, but by and large, for the experience of the candidate, we go by memory.
That's good.
Yeah.
So on that point too though, right, like it's an experience for the candidate. We were all candidates at some point. When we go through it though, like how much do we really remember from the lectures or whatever, right? In my opinion, that's why it's so important to do the memory work, and then obviously we'll do what you're required for your degrees, but then do the lectures again and keep doing them, because that's the closest thing you're going to get to having that experience like over and over again, because it's like a really special thing, right? Each degree is like just yours alone.
There's a brother in my lodge, he does the fellowcraft lecture super well, all from memory. He's like the go-to guy for that degree.
Yeah.
And it's incredible just hearing him just go and go and go. That one goes for a little bit.
Yeah, we are getting ready next month to do 4 fellow crafts. So we will have 2 a night and then maybe 2 on a Saturday. We're sort of playing with a breakfast and then 2 degrees. And then
That would be cool to see. I wish I could be here for that.
Yeah. When are you taking off?
Probably at the end of this month.
End of this month.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're so busy with everything that we just did, and now some of the members are with the circus that's happening starting tomorrow all across the state until the end of the month. And we're just like, and we still got more carpet to pull out,
People getting a little burned out.
And that's the thing, back and forth. You don't want to do that. You really, really don't want to burn people down as they're going through the process, so you need that time to just do whatever. Like tomorrow night, some of us are going to a concert instead of practicing, right? I don't think anybody else is practicing either. So, we've had
There's
a
nothing
lot.
wrong with that.
Yeah, no, we've had a lot, and we still got things to do, like the picture up there. That ugly blue carpet that's still underneath those pillars will be gone soon, as you attested to pulling some out with us there. So, we're trying to get all those little visual things people can see.
Yeah.
Get those straightened up. And
I love the look of your guys' lodge, by the way.
oh, thank you.
It's like timeless.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about that the other day too, because so many brothers walked in, they're like, "Oh, this is a beautiful lodge," and like you kind of forget when it just becomes your home.
Yeah.
But like, especially because we were just at Boise too not too long ago, and we came back there, and I was like, "Man, this is like home," you know. But yeah.
Well, I mean, just all the details, the checkered floor, the starry sky, it's all just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, I'm shocked that that's not in some of the other lodges that I've gone to, even though it's just around here, because it seems like it's kind of laid out like we should, every well-organized lodge, right? No offense to all these other lodges, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, there's sort of some things that are sort of like get referenced.
Yeah.
Well, so
it'd be nice to have those there.
I don't know if maybe it has to do with just the lodge I come from. The building we work out of is a Scottish Rite building. I never saw the original lodge that we had from the inside. The building came down a few years before I joined, but where you guys have the working tools up on the wall, we just have the working tools in a case opened up in front of the worshipful master.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we have that, and we have a little bigger one. They got a smaller case, and then they've got a little bit bigger ones that they can show to the candidate. It sort of depends upon who's doing what, and oftentimes, especially now that everybody is advancing so well, in our first degrees, when we do an EA degree, you'll see like musical chairs like crazy, because these guys will get up and one will do the tools and one will do this and one will do that, right? Because they've already done it, you know. And that's one of the things that we really try to encourage as we're teaching, and and it's helped. It's helped these guys in that aspect, and still all the new guys who come in, it's like, okay, you've done this first degree. Guess what? At our next one, during the degree, you can do any position, even the master. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the whole obligation. There's other parts. We'll help you pick it up, but you could physically if you wanted to do it. They don't want to that fast.
That was something that myself and the brother I went through with really enjoyed, was getting right into it and helping with degrees that happened after us.
Yeah.
The first role I ever had was second base for the Ruffians, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's.
I think that was my first serious one too. Actually,
it's a small bite. It's a good intro to playing a part, I think.
Yeah.
Man, first base the other night, that guy, he had fun with it.
Oh yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, they all did. It was a little worrisome at the end there, but he survived. So there's that capital kilt on the far end that we were talking about. So zoom in on the computers at home on YouTube there and check it out. But yeah, that's about 15 to 20 brothers short of what we had.
Yeah, there were several guys that left before we got to that point.
Yeah, some of them left even before the degree started, let alone the ones who left before he came back out for the third, all that. So a lot of these guys, they really soldiered on, man. You know, everybody who kept their suit jacket on, good on you. But I didn't even bring my jacket. I knew.
I was glad not to have one.
I knew it was going to be rough. So, yeah, and that is, like, when you look at that picture, that is still majority out-of-towners, even with the amount of brothers from Capital 93, our lodge, and those from Grand Lodge. You still have just a huge number.
There were brothers from Florida, Hawaii, Canada.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There were like 3 guys from Canada, I think.
Yeah. And Texas, and they've just been reporting on what a great time they've had, and, you know, hats off that everything went off like it did, and the candidate, you know, enjoyed his. We talked to him after, and he enjoyed his degree, and, you know, everybody had a good time. You had dessert to take back to your co-classmates.
Right? Oh yeah, they love that.
So yeah.
Awesome.
I'm surprised guys aren't going to join Masonic lodges because of all the food he keeps bringing them.
Yeah, we should give him some business cards or some of the simple answer booklets.
Yeah, that might be recruiting. But yeah.
You can just leave them accidentally.
Yeah, exactly.
There have been a few people at the school I've talked to that have been asking me about it. A couple of guys seem kind of interested, but they'll pursue it if they're that interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
I'll answer any questions they have.
Yeah.
The thing I hear too, and we've heard before, is a lot of people who aren't Masons or guys who like are interested in it and they like kind of want to join. They think that they have to be invited, right? Like they'd start talking to you and they're like, okay, so I want to do it. Like, when's he gonna ask me? You know? And then you move away and you never ask him. And he's like, well, I guess I'm not gonna be one then.
Yeah.
And then he starts writing all kinds of mean stuff about us on the internet.
Yeah.
All because of you. I'm just kidding.
All because of you.
Well, one thing that I do tell guys that show an interest in it is that we don't ask people.
Yeah. I think that's a really important thing to point out. Like
I do let them know, like there's bumper stickers you'll see, to be one, ask one, and that simply means like nobody's going to ask you to join Masonry.
Right.
It's something that you have to pursue for yourself.
Yeah.
And that also reminded me, we also did something else in between that. We did an open house prior to the Hiram Ward as well, because the city here has been doing a lot of construction, so they had a party to celebrate the opening of the street by closing the street yet again. So, and we just opened up a lodge, and we do that as much as we can in these kind of things so that people can come in, because they're like, oh, I didn't know I could come in. And it's like, why not? Doors open, right? And had to have shown at least 15 people around, you know, to show them the upstairs and the downstairs, and, you know, they got questions, you answer the questions and this and that, and then it goes from there. And one of the gentlemen who came by was interested because we had Shriners stuff and all that, and the tickets for the circus, and he was interested in being a Shriner. So then it leads the door open. It's not recruiting, but you can say, well, if you really want to be a Shriner, you got to be one of these first.
Right.
How do I become a Mason? Well, you just ask the right question. You know, it sort of leads to that kind of thing, and that's the cool thing about their recognition. I think with the hospitals and the circus and the funny red hats that we don't have in the Scottish Rite, and those other things. You know, we've got hospitals and all that too in the Scottish Rite, but we don't have that visual recognition. So where people are like, I want to be that. How do I become that? Well, you got to be a Mason first, just the same as the Shriners. So.
Yeah. Well, I usually bring up the Shriners just because people that don't know much about Masonry, that is an organization that a lot of people recognize.
Yeah.
And I tell them, it's like, well, all Shriners are Masons. Not all Masons are Shriners, but if you wanted to get into that organization, you got to go through this one.
Yeah.
And you brought up people being afraid to just like knock on the door, just walk in. Of course, I was already a brother when I dropped in on you guys. But I just found your website and found out when you were meeting.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing when I first walked in the doors of my home lodge. Our website, I don't think anybody's really keeping up on it. It's a little outdated. So when I showed up, I overheard a couple of brothers like, I don't even know how he knew we were meeting. Does anybody know this guy?
Yeah.
They forget that the website's even there. They
Right.
have no idea.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're interested, it's just something that you have to pursue.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's going to pursue it for you.
Yeah. So just real quick, I gotta give a shout out because you're from Oregon, and the man, the myth, the legend that is Don LaFave is there now, Brother
yes.
Don. I know we kind of talked about him. I don't think you met him just yet, but he's out there, and he's the guy who reached out to me because I was curious, right? I started looking into Freemasonry. I just went to the beafreemason.org, whatever the legit one is, you know.
Okay.
Put in my inquiry, my information. He reached out like the next day or two later, and then it was just skyrocket from there.
Yeah.
I had a couple conversations about Masonry with my brother-in-law, and I guess he's been a Mason for about 8 years now. But after a few conversations, he sent me the audiobook version of Freemasons for Dummies.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And I actually listened to that a couple of times over the course of about a year, and did some other research on my own before finally deciding to, like, you know what, at a certain point you just have to knock on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And that's what we always strive to say on here is wherever you are, just take that step. You know, they're not going to slam the door in your face. If they are, they're not going to be active for very long. You know, we're like, yeah, come to dinner, you know, come have a free dinner, whatever, you know, come and talk to us, because that's hugely important, because we're not just signing petitions. We're not just bringing in anybody. You know, we want to make sure. And even with you, there was confusion when you came in because not the proper people, but we're going by, no, where's his paper? Where's this? Where's that? You know, so we're like, you know, we're making sure that people come through the doors, which when we had 80 some odd, whoever we had, it was a little different circumstance, and we did some, you know, some things a little differently to check that, but we want to make sure that, you know, the guys have a good time, but that they're there because they're supposed to be there.
Right.
No, nobody's just going to be sneaking.
Yeah, I had no problem with that. The first meeting that I dropped in on, I had a nice dinner with you guys, had a nice conversation with Mark and Dave.
Yeah.
My secretary got back to you guys, I heard, just after I walked out the door.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd already gone around the corner, I guess, so that's all right. I caught you guys on the next one.
Yeah. And maybe things since then.
Yeah.
So if we roll back a little bit, we didn't get to do this.
Oh.
That's our tradition with our third degrees when they go through, but Bryce had to jump up there that night too. But
nice.
That was the first time we did it. That was my candidate that I coached up through. I was just excited to do it.
That's awesome.
You gotta go ride the bull, baby. So yeah, the brother the other night wasn't too hip on jumping on a mechanical bull. So
I could imagine.
Yeah. He was not
might be a little bit of a younger man's game.
Not grooving it. Yeah. But we got 4 guys coming up through the ranks. I think they'll all be willing to jump on there for a little bit of fun, you know. And when guys locally see that, they're like, "You're out of your freaking mind. You don't do that." Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
It's fun.
Backpedaling a little bit, it just brought to mind the third degree. Another major difference that I noticed, there was a whole section of lines of the third ruffian that I'd never seen before done.
Yes.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. That is a 2022 edition. Because I looked at Grandview after. I do the shorter version of that, which we can't talk about. Well, it's printed. We could, but it's not in the monitor. It's weird. But we have 2 different soliloquies in Idaho.
Okay.
The longer one that he does, to me, feels repetitive, because the senior deacon's going to talk about that stuff again, and the lecturer is going to talk about that.
But I initially agreed with you, and then I kind of liked it because that makes 3, right? We hear it from the bad side, the good side, and then the neutral kind of, I don't know.
So during the degree itself, a lot of those lines are present.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it.
But it's in the degrees I went through, it was Solomon that had those lines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we can talk about that a little bit more later. But that was the difference that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk about that secretly. But when I do it too, I am somebody who is, in my mind, I'm somebody who is nowhere else in that passion play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a completely different character than anybody else. So, whatever that may be. But so, backtracking again into this idea, losing lodges, we're losing lodges, so on and so forth. The thing they want to do is make it, in a sense, easier to become master, because then they think that that's going to open up the doors. The hardest thing about that is if
It's already easiar.
I was going to say, what
easier.
exactly are they I don't remember what they were trying to do to make it easier.
Well, video lecturing, right? So people can watch a video for them to take their degrees. It wouldn't give anybody proficiency to become eligible to be master themselves, but they're talking about doing different things, being able to read. Eventually you got to do it. It's like all these little, feels like stopgaps.
Yeah, because if you got a video, that's going to stop people from wanting to learn the lecture after they get it, in my opinion. Like, people still learn it, but like not as many. Oh, we got the video, you know.
Yeah.
Some.
So they don't have enough guys to maybe open lodge or whatever, so they really can't put together a degree. But they got people interested in these different areas, so they need a way. If they can't get a lecturer from somewhere else, they need a way to get these guys through their degrees. But once they're through their degrees, then what? It feels like what Bryce is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they then feel inspired to learn the lecture? They can just say, hey, just turn that on for the next guy.
Yeah. Plus, like you were saying, it's just so impressive to have that lecture delivered in person.
Right.
Yeah. Just part of the memory work.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of video.
Or really just any shortcuts, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, even like a video chat format, I feel like would be pushing it.
Yeah.
There's something about just having everyone there in person. I don't know. I guess it'd be interesting to talk to a brother from the other perspective.
Yeah.
Somebody that maybe in some remote lodge. But like I said, my home lodge, some of the most active brothers drive in from just over an hour away.
Yeah.
If you want to be there, you'll be there.
Yeah. Which is, I think, the point that a lot of people miss.
Yeah.
We say it all the time, this isn't for everybody, and I say it too, and it shouldn't be for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, yeah, if you make it worth their while, not with gimmicks and this and that and the other thing, with good fellowship, good communication, good degree, all that kind of stuff, they're going to drive an hour.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come back. We can't do anything about, like they talk often about the mining towns in Idaho that they're all closing because of industry and stuff like that. Well, we can't do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
And if those brothers want to remain brothers, they would drive, I would think, make that journey if it's that important to them to do that, But last year we were going through this same thing, and it was sort of like, don't miss the point that just because it's there doesn't mean you have to use it either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're in a place where we've got lecturers for each degree and a couple of guys, deep on different things, where that's not a concern right now. So we're not going to fall back. We'll wait. We won't rush a degree. Oh, Trevor's not here, we can't do the second degree. Let's do the video. No, we're not doing that.
I don't know if Idaho has a similar system, but I know in Oregon, you can go onto the Grand Lodge website and register yourself as a brother who's proficient in certain roles and how far you're willing to travel to attend a degree in need.
Yeah, we have that in Grandview.
Okay.
Yeah, literally, Brother Justin just told me to do that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
There you go.
I just filled it out. But now I'm going to be getting phone calls.
Another way to suck you in.
I'm going to edit that part out.
Yeah. I don't know what he's talking about.
That's with how far apart Klamath is from the other lodges, that's not something that we're able to pull on very often, I don't think.
Yeah.
But it is something that's there.
Yeah. Well, in our area right here, you've got 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 lodges.
Oh, yeah.
Between not far out Boise,
Mm-hmm.
Kuna, Caldwell, Napa, and ourselves.
Right.
That's, a very short distance because it's it's not a big area. You get on the freeway, right, back and forth. That
you can get through pretty quickly.
Yeah, people think there's crazy traffic, but no, not really. But
20 minutes.
yeah, you know, 8 lodges in this size of an area, that's a lot of saturation comparatively, you know, but not all the lodges are thriving either, for various reasons. Some are head shaking reasons and others are whatever, you know, and we just try and do our best not to, you know, fall prey to any of that. So
not our pig, not our bed.
Yep, exactly. We got our own things to deal with. So
I think with that, you know, being spoiled for choice like that, brothers can visit different lodges.
Yeah.
Even before they're brothers. I could go to the Kuna Lodge. I could go to the Boise Lodge, just have dinner with the guys.
Yeah.
And
but he comes to ours. Just kidding.
Repeatedly.
And I think there's something to that. I mean, I enjoyed my time with all of you guys. I wish I could have more time with you guys.
Yeah, you've honestly felt like just like I don't see you as like a visitor.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I thought you just moved here, and it sucks that you're leaving.
That's kind of how it went with my home lodge. I didn't fully commit to going to the line school until I think it was just before my Master Mason degree. And so going into that, I already knew, and I talked to the brothers about this, that I wasn't actually going to be there for very long, which, you know, it sucked. Because just like you guys, I really fell in love with the brothers over there. Was very active, enjoyed my time with them, and hopefully I can see some of them for the brief time that I'm back in Klamath. But that's kind of how it goes, you know.
So you're not going to be moving back permanently, or
No. Ideally, I'll have a job before I graduate.
Oh, okay.
There's one job in particular I'm really I really hope I get up in Pendleton.
Okay.
But honestly, I could end up anywhere.
Yeah.
We had our interviews with Quanta, the company that owns Northwest Lineman College, and they own something like 250 other power companies across the country.
Nice.
And when you register for that interview, because any student there can get the interview, they have you list some Quanta companies that you're interested in. And during my interview, when she asked me geographically where do I want to end up, I said, well, you know, I put that I was interested in northern power line construction out of Alaska, and I also put that I'm interested in Luma down in Puerto Rico. So if I could get somewhere between there.
So you're not picky.
No. I want to find the best job that I can for my family.
Yeah.
And if that means that we go somewhere totally new for a few years, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll come back to this part of the country if I get taken away from it, but.
Well, wherever you go to, you know, hopefully there'll be a lodge and you can get in there, because you've got that demeanor of the kind of brother that you want in your lodge. So it's like, you know, wherever you go, you'll be able to be an asset to them. So that'll be cool.
I was actually kind of explaining that to one of my classmates the other night, because he was asking me, why am I a Mason? Like, what do I get out of it? And I told him, you know, one of the great things about it is no matter where you go, you can find some brothers. I mean, I've made some friends that I hope are friends for the rest of my life at the college, but it's also nice to just drop in somewhere and automatically have a network of people that you know are good men. Yeah. It's invaluable, you know. Yeah. There's no way I could have met all of you guys separately in this short amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about the lodge, I think, is just the men that it brings together.
Good pitch.
There we go. We need some different camera angles, like some zooming past you and some fades and stuff for a commercial.
Yeah.
There we go.
One of those things. It's not advertising.
we'll get a drone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Goes
there
back
we go.
and
Pop it through on that end of it. So as we're getting close to the end here, so your future's not set as far as that goes in masonry, but I know Brother Bryce was asking about some of the other bodies and stuff like that. Are you getting settled eventually? Do you want to join York, Scottish, Shrine, any of those kind of things? Or
Yeah, I think that especially the Scottish Rite, I have quite a bit of interest in.
Yeah.
York Rite, I'm not as familiar with, but it's something that I'd be interested in. It's
I can
something
talk to you
that
about it after.
I would be interested in looking into.
Yeah, Bryce is going through that. Where are you at right now?
I just went through the Royal Arch, so that's the first chapter, so I'm done with that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm kind of like a full member of that chapter, and then there's another chapter, the Cryptic chapter that I'm going to be going through,
Yeah.
and then for now I'm stopping there. After that, there's the Commandery, I think, and that's like the whole Knights Templar chapter.
So
But
what number are you at right now?
that would be 4.
Oh, that's where they make the break there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then like I was saying, that Royal Arch supposedly was part of the 3rd degree when it first kind of came over to America, and they got part and parceled out. I forgot where. I think it was like Speculative Freemasonry in America. I think that was the name of the book or something. It was from the lodge. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, because going through that, York Rite is very much like a continuation of our Blue Lodge degrees, where Scottish Rite's a bit different.
Yeah.
But it's been super cool. And then the Royal Arch just kind of ties everything together.
Yeah.
They're almost like mere like additions to each kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely those two really have, the doors that become wide open, if you're really wanting education or learning and going in different paths and seeing, where this could possibly lead kind of thing. Those two really have that structure. And then they have their philanthropies too.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're just not as visible, well known as the Shriners and different things like that.
It's hard to be as visible as the Shriners.
Yeah. And that was an intentional marketing. I mean, even back when I was younger, and they had the MDA telethon with Jerry's Kids, and
Maybe the Scottish Rite needs more kilts and bagpipes.
We've got them.
Yeah.
We've got them. The Knights of St. Andrew.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And the what's that, Glengarry?
Yeah.
They've got to start organizing Highland games.
That would be a cool.
They got Scotch Knights, so.
Well, that's as close as they can get.
Uh,
That's the amount of effort. You get stuck right there. That's always good, though.
I mean, no offense to our Knights of St. Andrew brothers here, but I don't know if many of them would be able to pick up a big rock.
Well, you don't have to. They don't have to be athletes themselves to organize the games.
That's
Right.
true. That's true. They just put it on.
Yeah, you say that there's games, the athletes will come.
That's true.
I thought he was going to say they can pick up a wee rock.
So they go, we
There we
little
go.
rock.
Yeah, a little rock.
My accent isn't as good. I'll let you.
Let us roll with that. Brother Bryce, I think we're rolling into our stopping time here.
Yeah.
It's just hugely important, I think, to allow brothers to have the reception that Brother Harley had, but we weren't putting on a face, which is hugely important.
Yeah, I think we're very natural. Like brothers show up, brothers or guests show up. We don't even really know at first. We treat you the same. If we find out you're a brother, like, oh, cool,
Right.
so you can come up, hang out with us. We can talk about some, deeper stuff.
Well, I mean, it's even like you said. You guys were nothing but welcoming, but not all the dots were adding up or lining up when
Right.
I first came, and so I came to dinner, but I didn't come to meeting.
Our Tyler was so excited he might get to stab at Callan.
He does spend a lot of time sharpening his sword. That's
true.
what he says he does out there when everybody else is busy in the meeting. So, yeah, you have to miss out on that one.
I served as Tyler a couple times at my lodge, and they got a big kick out of me picking the biggest sword and standing there with the kilt.
Yeah, nice.
But while I was sitting out there, I was like, what's morals and dogma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a little time. Yeah, exactly. That's what the best do in that position. So, so we have our links that Brother Bryce always runs through. But do you guys have, for your home lodge, a website, Facebook, or?
We have a website. I don't think we have a Facebook. I'm afraid I don't have the website directly on me, but if you Google,
just Google it.
Yeah, just Google Klamath Lodge 77, should be the first result that pops up. I mean, that's how I initially found them.
Yeah. Awesome. For anybody who's floating around the Klamath area,
Mm-hmm.
we got listeners everywhere.
All right, well, Brother Harley, thanks for coming out, Wayne.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I
No.
appreciate the invitation.
No, we got this suggestion from one of our new EAs, and I think he probably did that because he was starving for more content because he's already blown through all of them, I guess, when he's driving around.
Yeah.
So he's like sort of pushing us to make sure we get in line. But now that we're done with a lot of heavy lifting this summer, I think we just have those 4 fellow crafts to take care of, and we've got some episodes lined out that I think we'll get back into our flow here. But appreciate the time. Really important, because I always get confused and people are like, well, you know, how did this start, this, that, or the other thing? And it's just good to see when people travel, because we don't always get to other states, right, to get to see how things work out. But it's great to have that opportunity to share that time, so appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. You know, here we've got an episode where we had a guy from Oregon talk to us, which is where we got our charter. And then we've had Prince Hall on, who got their overall charter from Ireland. We just need to find an Irish guy and bring him on here now.
There you go.
Yeah. You have any connects over at Scotland?
No, afraid not.
All right.
No, not in the Lineman College or nothing?
No, not the farthest east I think we have is New York.
Okay.
Well, Irish Masons reach out to us.
Yeah.
So,
Always open ears.
and segue, you can reach us at templarontherun@gmail.com. Templar on the Run on YouTube, Reddit, Spotify, TikTok. On Instagram, though, we're Temp on the Run. Just Google us, you'll be able to find us, Templar on the Run. We'll be putting this out soon, and just keep going.
That's it.
All right. Brother Harley, anything else?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great day. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to Templar on the Run. Please check us out at Twitter and Reddit at Templar on the Run. Our Instagram is at Temp on the Run. We got TikTok at Templar on the Run. And if you have any questions or anything else that you can't reach us on any of those other platforms, please send them to templarontherun@gmail.com. We thank you for listening and have a great day.